who's been covering this wall to wall. Jordan, thanks for joining us. What's your initial reaction to what the jury is saying about the Jodi Arias trial and the hung jury of 11-1?
So disappointing. I mean, I just walked out, and I can tell you the mood here in Phoenix is just total disappointment, kind of shock. Everyone's speechless. How could this happen twice? I walked out of a meeting just now, and everyone was completely in shock because, you know, you listen to these jurors and you hear 11-1, and it's that one holdout who appears to have had a bias. I mean, she's followed the trial prior. She had an abusive relationship. She watched the Jodi Arias movie. She had Facebook likes to Nancy Grace, and I just don't understand how she got through the screening process. And I think you're hearing that with some of these jurors. They're showing frustration when they went back to deliberate, and they had someone who clearly already had their mind made up against the death penalty. I mean, this is a system that we have in America, and it's a great system, but these are the kinds of things where you go, how in the world can you screen these people better? I mean, I don't understand how it's gone on. I don't understand how that's happened. And it sounds like these jurors were in there banging their heads against the wall, trying to get her to come on their side, and she just wouldn't do it. Had some issue with the death penalty or love for Jodi Arias or something.
Yeah, Jordan,
and she saved her life.
Many of us have been asking in here, once the jury is hung, we know that it falls on Justice Stevens to decide whether or not it's going to be 25 years and then the possibility of parole or her natural life in prison. Why is it that Justice Stevens honored the defense's request to defer for at least 30 days before sentencing? Isn't that just unfair to Travis Alexander's family?
You know, I heard Travis Alexander, one of his sisters, say, you know, we'll have justice in the afterlife. And that's just so sad. It's just so sad. Yeah, I mean, I think that the Judge Stevens is absolutely looking at how to make sure this is as fair as possible. And it's typical to give some time, but I agree, 30 days for the poor family that's gone through so much is crazy. It's crazy.
Jordan, thank you so much.
It's over with already.
We appreciate, absolutely. We appreciate you joining us. Stay here on HLN. We'll have continuing coverage and conversation of the Jodi Arias hung jury verdict aftermath.
Jordan Rose, who's been covering this throughout the entire trial. Jordan, is there a possibility that Jodi Arias could get 25 with the possibility of parole?
She could. She could. That's amazing, right? That's astounding. The judge has the discretion in Arizona to give her a parole at 25 years. And I don't know how that's going to go. It's all about what the judge determines. And she'll take that under advisement, and we'll see. It would be awful if that happened. And I think from a public and Phoenix population here in Arizona, people are outraged. They're just completely shocked at what's occurred, and because it was one holdout juror that appears to have some sort of a bias or something against the death penalty itself. And you hear all these jurors come on your air, and you're listening to them talk about how they tried to ask her what would constitute someone who deserves a death penalty, and she couldn't answer that. So how does that person get through the jury selection process? I mean, Winston Churchill said, you know, our system of justice is the worst except for all the other systems, and that here, it's the truth.
And of course, we're not hearing from that juror yet, and a lot of people wanting to hear from that juror. Not sure if we're going to, Jordan, but thank you so much for weighing in.
Yes, it's interesting because what Jordan alluded to is something that I got from Megahan on Twitter. It says, jurors need to explain what more Jodi Arias had to do in order to deserve the death penalty. And I think that's what a lot of people in the public are asking. What does it take?